Hello and welcome to another Offseason Outlook episode of the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Calvin. How are you?
That's my dad. Dad, we are in episode 3 of our Offseason Outlook. We're going to do the AL West, hence the Mariners shirt. But I haven't done something yet, and I just thought about it. I am so happy that we have done this at every Thanksgiving. So I just want to do a special shout out to you for doing this every Thanksgiving with me. I honestly look forward to it more than turkey and mashed potatoes and rolls, all that stuff combined.
And corn.
Because we spend because we spend the day together. I mean, you got here at like 10 a.m. I mean, we're gonna be until the sunset doing these podcasts. We record all day. I'll post throughout the week. But I just want to thank you for dedicating just as much energy and time into this as me. Taking it seriously, giving it to the people at home, good information, good predictions, and good in this season and off-season outlook on their team.
One of my favorite days of the year.
It really is. Father and son duo, everybody. We, Dad, are going to now talk about the AL West. Let's see who I have up first on discussions. If you've been watching our other episodes, you know that I kind of go over the losses. My dad identifies the needs, and then we kind of co-talk about trade options if that is applicable to your team.
Nice word choices, by the way.
I know. I had to spell spry in the behind the scenes. Dad, let's do Houston first. Obviously went to the.
I think their biggest loss is Dusty.
That's who I wrote.
Yeah,
Dusty Baker, number one.
I really do. I think that's going to be felt throughout the year because I think he was a great manager, especially for that team to keep them all, in line. And he's had multiple personalities. And he kept it all going. So I think he'll be missed in Major League Baseball.
I agree.
Yeah.
They also lost Martin Maldonado. I think he's done. I don't know about all time.
He'll be a good coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think he's done for Houston. They lost Michael Brantley, who was, kind of in his aging, twilight years of his career. A lot of relief pitching. Neris, Maton, and then Ryan Stanek. Good, especially Hector Neris. Really, really good bullpen. But their bullpen is just like teaming with Kendall Graveman and Abreu and Montero and Presley. And they have a really great bullpen already.
Yeah,
they may
good arms.
They may add to that, but they have a really good bullpen. Despite a McCullers and a Garcia injury, they still have a really good rotation. Mauricio Dubon really stepped up when Altuve was hurt this year. I think it's Yusnel Diaz, if I'm getting that right.
Yes.
But their catcher that stepped up, great. Yeah. Kind of like how Pena stepped up out of nowhere. They always have that next man up attitude. So they're really set to be in the playoffs again next year without really any additions to their roster, in my opinion. They'll still win, plus 90 games.
Seems like it's a regular thing.
But what else, Dad, would they... I don't think they have that much money available, but what do you think they could do or should do?
I think they need some relief pitching, have some people...
Still add the bullpen, okay.
Yeah, I would. The great thing about the Astros is they do so well with international scouting. They get these guys that throw extremely hard out of the Dominican, Venezuela. They go through the system, and all of a sudden they go to the bullpen, and they're an impact reliever.
Yep.
I'll throw 95 plus. Astros always done well with the international scouting and signings. I think they could use probably a little more offense and some bench. And like you mentioned before, they're getting a little old at certain positions. Do they need some youth to come up to be part of that bench and everything? They're going to hang on and be a playoff team, but is a window coming up that all of a sudden they're going to have to kind of regroup and replace some of the players.
I think that's next year. Altuve and Bregman are free agents. The following year, I think Tucker's a free agent next year too.
I tell you, he's one of the better players in baseball.
Not in the playoffs. I think Yordan is locked up a little longer than that. But yes, they're going to have some interesting decisions. So I think they need to be a little cautious on how they spend this offseason. I said that they do have Lourdes Gurriel joining them in left field. I think that's really their only hole. They may pick up some bullpen pieces. I don't think it's going to be a top 50 guy, or they're going to re-sign Neris. Just financially, I don't think they can do that.
Well, let me bring up one quick point.
Sure.
Rangers won the World Series in the Battle of Texas. Houston might be going, hey, we're the big boys on the block. Maybe we need to up the game.
Possibly. I do think...
It's a big market. It's like number 4 in the United States now.
I think they'll... very likely, and if the Yankees do everything that I think they'll do, they might be in the CS, but I really think that the Astros Rangers are doomed to repeat. They're not going to have
Good point.
Not going to have any trouble in the Central. Orioles are still figuring themselves out as a playoff team. But we're not really sure what the Blue Jays are doing. The Rays seem to be falling out of it. It's not the Red Sox year next year. So unless like a Yankees or Mariners get good enough to contend, I don't see.
Yeah, I mean, 3 good teams.
Yeah, but I really think they're the top 2, and that's just how I feel.
You're gonna say anything about Chas McCormick and being in Millersville?
Chas McCormick is the starting center fielder. Make him. He had a great year this year.
Millersville University.
Sugar Bowl. I think bullpen wise, that I'd say I hear you, but I think they end up getting like a Matt Moore, like an Andrew Chafin, but not a top name. Although Chafin should be.
But still a great addition.
Great addition. Astros are great at this. That when they have a strength, they strengthen it. When they have a weakness, they know it's a weakness and they don't address it. I think that's kind of fine to do because otherwise you're just going to end up with an average team. If you know that your 4th starter or 5th starter is always a weakness, just get 1, 2s, and 3s. Just get top of the line starters. Never get innings eaters. And I don't think they really ever do that.
Yeah. They are good.
Yeah. So I think, Verlander's cheap for them. The big reason they were able to get Verlander is because the Mets paid down so much of his contract.
And he's 42 now?
I think he's 41.
Okay.
McCullers and Garcia, I think, come back mid-year. That could be a great second half of the season push.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on their timelines. But yeah, Houston, not that much money available. I think left fielder and some cheaper relievers.
I had the same thing. Yeah, I agree.
Texas Dad, on my list of losses for the entirety of MLB, they're the longest.
Yeah.
However, everyone's thinking about a repeat already. A repeat's very hard to do, obviously. I'm going to run through the list. I'm going to try to be succinct, but there's a lot of names on this list. Shout out quickly to Ian Kennedy, who retired a champion. I always liked Ian Kennedy's story. Jordan Montgomery, big loss. Mitch Garver, I think, is a pretty big loss. Followed by some, tough losses, but not as bad. We're looking at Will Smith. We're looking at Martin Perez, Jake Odorizzi, Chris Stratton, and then more forgettable ones, Danny Duffy, Robbie Grossman, Austin Hedges. I don't know if I said Chapman already, but Aroldis Chapman, Travis Jankowski, Brad Miller, Matt Bush, Brett Martin. A lot of names. I think that's 15. So when you lose a good part of your 40-man roster, you need to replenish it. Money doesn't seem to be an issue.
Correct.
The ownership we just won a World Series. Let's go sign some people. Let's make some mistakes. Let's make some emotional decisions. Chris Young is the GM, another former baseball guy, is going to say, hey, my strategy worked. Give me more money, and it'll keep working.
New stadium.
Still a new stadium. They want a new stadium. Their big holdout is?
I'm thinking pitching.
Which kind of pitching? They give you which kind of pitching? I'm giving you a layup.
Left-handed.
No, I'm giving you a layup, not a left. It doesn't matter.
Tell me.
Josh Hader. Well, yeah, sorry, Josh Hader.
Oh, yeah, I got closer.
A closer.
I'm sorry, I was confused with.
Sorry, I was throwing you. This is a layup, and then I got.
I thought you were juggling.
No, yes, and I was like, all right, that is, but a closer.
I agree.
That seemed to be where they're the most shaky in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Leclerc did not seem confident. I know Josh Sborz did get the save or the final out of the World Series. He's not a closer. I think that desperately is needed.
Well, when they got Chapman, that told you everything you needed to know.
But Chapman was never the ninth inning guy.
Yeah.
Or if he wasn't there long.
Yeah. The velocity just wasn't there.
Yeah. They get DeGrom back mid-year. I think that, very similar to the Astros, will be a very fun kind of like we could see a Verlander-Scherzer matchup. We could see a Garcia or McCullers, DeGrom, like all these like former TJ people going at it. I think that's going to be really fun to watch. Other things they need to add? Anything else before?
I think they could. I think it's bench. Sounds like they have a lot of holes to fill to make a good bench. And waiting for DeGrom to come back and all that. Do they get one more starting pitcher just to?
They could.
To, make sure that that's taken care of. Think about that division, how good it is. You probably want to start out strong. And, don't be like Seattle to have this humongous winning streak and fall a little short. I think right from the get-go, you got to win games.
My thought was re-signing Monty. I thought that was really big. And I believe I had a DH headed to Texas. Oh, Brandon Belt. So it's more like bench DH. But if other pieces become available, such as Eloy Jimenez. I can see them getting a big bopper and just making that offense so potent.
Yeah.
The Rangers gave up a lot of runs this year. I mean, we've never seen in the history of baseball a team with more blown saves than saves, and then with more blown saves than anyone else in the playoffs.
And keep winning.
And they won the World Series.
Yeah. Yeah, but their confidence was like, if we get down, so big deal. I mean, they just kept fighting and all that stuff. They had a really good competitive squad that never got down. They made a couple comebacks in the playoffs that were pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It was a good World Series, too, by the way.
Neither of those two teams need much, but the additions they make will be just magnified on how committed both those franchises are to winning. And it's just another gut punch to maybe a Seattle or an LA or New York, Toronto that we missed out on Monty. We missed out on this person. Like, how do they keep getting better? And they're going to be gluttonous. Now we're moving on to Seattle. Seattle doesn't need that much, but the pieces they do need, I don't know how they're going to get them. I think, let me set it up a little bit. They lost, surprisingly, Eugenio Suarez to third base because they had midseason acquisitions of postseason and midseason, of Josh Rojas and Luis Urias, which don't sound like a second baseman, third baseman combo, so hopefully more is brewing. They lost Teoscar Hernandez to the outfield. He didn't have the greatest season when they traded for him last offseason.
Yeah, Toronto got that deal.
Their backup, Tom Murphy, seems to be gone because they brought in a backup catcher to Cal Raleigh already, but cheaper. Mike Ford was a pretty good DH for him at times, but he's gone. They also lost Diego Castillo and Dominic Leone.
And Seattle likes making trades, by the way.
See, that's what I'm saying. Seattle has a great rotation. They have Julio Rodriguez. They got J.P. Crawford. They got Ty France. They got Cal Raleigh. They have three amazing players in key positions defensively. They have a full starting rotation, so, Dad, their needs. And how do they get them? I want to hear all that stuff.
You know what? Let's face it. That the old adage is the GM wakes up wanting to make a trade. I think they're going to be the most active team in trades, and I think they're going to fortify their pitching. And I think right now they got a big hole at first base.
No, Ty France.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have a big hole at DH.
DH. Okay. And first baseman DH can can do a little bit of both. But I think right now they're going to be involved with a lot of the Japanese pitchers and all that stuff because Seattle seems to do well with that. And the other thing too, they could probably use a little more offense.
I have a right fielder DH needed. I have Hunter Renfroe being that right field arm and offense.
That's pretty good.
I have Jamer Candelario going to third base and Rojas Urias being a second baseman combo. They haven't been right there since Cano at second base. They just haven't. DH, they get what they get, maybe in a trade like a Verdugo.
That'd be a
or
great
Renfroe
trade.
Verdugo could play right or DH.
Yeah.
And then I have either bullpen or just a true closer after they got rid of Seawald. Kind of surprisingly, last year, I remember I had Jordan Hicks going there.
That ended up being a good trade for the D-backs.
Yes, it did. Still, though, I think Robbie Ray being out, I want to say most of 2024.
They put a lot of stock in him.
They put a lot of stock in him. I don't think they go to the high-end market anymore. They got Luis Castillo via trade. They built up most of their pitching in-house. I don't know if they're willing to trade a Bobby Miller. Sorry, I don't know if that's Bobby or Bryce Miller or Brian Wu. But they seem to be the most targeted. Most people would seem to be giving up a DH or a right fielder for one of those two guys.
Yeah. They're not that far away.
They're not that far away, but they seem far away. Because, again, you put the Mariners in the Central, best team.
Oh.
But you put them up against the Astros and the Rangers, you're like, I know you're battling for third. Do you think you'll get a wild card spot? That's the conversation this year.
Yeah, I know.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a really tough conversation.
Yeah, they had ended up with a nice record, 88-74.
Yep, but one game away.
Correct.
They were better than the Diamondbacks, but in the wrong league.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're a half game away from the Blue Jays. That's how close they were.
Dad, I want to talk about the A's quickly, but next. I actually want to talk about them more than the Angels because I'm disgusted by the Angels. The A's have officially signed a new contract to move to Vegas. They are moving. Their stadium lease is next year. It's over. and then the Vegas stadium won't be built to 2028. So that's 3 seasons where an MLB team has to be a journeyman or playing in a minor league park.
Wow.
Keep that in mind. 25, 26, 27. As of right now, they don't have a home field.
You know, it'd be a solution. Play in Las Vegas's minor league stadium.
That's everyone saying that.
Okay.
Which makes the most sense, but the capacity is 8,000 people, which isn't a big deal for Oakland fans. They'll still have 2 seats available.
I wonder how quickly they could add to that stadium to make it 15, you know?
More than a year, I have to imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know how building works, but anyways,
Yeah.
They lost a good amount. I know none of these names are going to be significant outside Trevor May. He officially retired. Tony Kemp's gone. James Caprillian's gone. Kirby Need's gone. Sam Long's gone. Drew Rosinski, remember him from last offseason?
Yeah.
Tyler Wade's gone. Richard Lovelady. And I think Austin Pruitt's the last thing. They need a new stadium. They need a new owner. They need new fans. They need new money. I didn't take them seriously.
Outside of that, how'd you like to play, Mrs. Lincoln?
They'll figure it out. They won't sign anyone major. Paul Blackburn's rumored in trades. They keep picking up all these waiver claims. Abraham Toro, Miguel Andujar.
They'll continue to do that.
Esteury Ruiz will still have 70 bags again, though. That was fun.
One of a really good AAA team, I think, could beat Oakland.
I'd like to see that. I always want to see an Alabama play an NFL team.
Yeah.
I still think an NFL team would win.
I think so, too.
Even the Bears.
Yeah.
But they're an NFL team for a reason.
Yeah. I think it'd be good entertainment.
Dad, any more on the A's?
You know what? The biggest thing I had was the move to Las Vegas, finally. As, the movie stated, this place is a dump in Moneyball. It's a shame that, things didn't work out in Oakland. Back in the 70s, Patrick, the Oakland A's were a powerhouse. And they had a great team with great players, played the Reds almost like every World Series. The history of Oakland, they were a very good team, and then all of a sudden, just let it go. So it's like maintenance to an old house. If you keep it up, it's going to fall apart, and they chose to let it fall apart. So best of luck with them when they move to Las Vegas, and hopefully the draft choices will start coming through. Because every time they get a good draft choice, they end up trading them by the 3rd year. So, yeah, it's not pretty. It's not even pretty to travel Oakland to play in Oakland.
It used to be beautiful before they made a mountain. But it used to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Before they made it a Raiders stadium. Dad, let's close out with the Angels. I don't know. Because losing Ohtani, obviously their main priority this offseason is to try to re-sign him by any means necessary. I think it's when they don't, do they trade Trout?
I say yes. I think... you kind of want to call Mike and say, Mike, demand a trade. And I think he'd love to come back to the East Coast because he goes to the Eagles games. He still has, I think a residence in the East Coast and all that stuff. Can you imagine Mike Trout as a Yankee and the draw he would get?
Philly. Right-handed hitter.
Yeah, but I don't know. If I'm Mike Trout, I'd say there's no future here. Let me go. And see what happens. Because the Angels aren't doing anything with them.
I just need a direction for LA. Because what's really tough for me is you sign Ron Washington, which means you're trying to compete. You're not just letting a rookie that's never coached before do it. You've lost Eddie Escobar, Aaron Loop, Gio Urshela, CJ Crone, Randall Grichuk, Mike Moustakas, and Hunter Renfroe from all your midseason pickups. There's a clear line in the sand. If you're competing, great. You're going to need, and let's say you get Shohei back, which is a sign you're competing. You're going to need other starters to help support him. You're going to need a much better bullpen and a much better right fielder because Mickey Moniak is a 4th outfielder at best at this point. However, if you're selling, don't just stop at Trout. Sell Anderson, Estevez, try to package Rendon with Trout and Luis Rengifo.
Rodon has only played, what?
I know.
Like 50 games a year?
But what's the best way out of that contract? Put him with Trout.
Yeah, you got to pick up this, and we'll get to Trout, and then return should be phenomenal for Trout.
I think it won't be if they include Rendon.
Because you're taking their baggage.
When everyone was thinking that Patrick Corbin would get attached to Soto when the Nationals were selling everything, apparently the best offer that they got when they were doing that was 2 low-level minor leaguers because Corbin's contract was that bad.
And,
so they wanted to maximize their prospect return. So if the Angels want prospects, it's just Trout. If they want to just have a clean financial slate, it's Trout and Rendon for a single A prospect.
Probably a little more than that.
I don't know. Rendon, have you seen Rendon's contract?
No, I think it's 8 years.
It's like $32 million a year.
Yeah, I know. That was a bad
And
signing.
Trout gets paid a lot too, Dad.
I know, but I mean, they're so top heavy with those contracts. You know, they're not. Their fan base is not great, so not a whole lot of people are going to Angels games.
Rendon is $38.5 a year until 2027. So there's $100 million.
So that's an 8-year contract then.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And then Trout is also probably getting paid around that money. So you're looking at taking on basically $75 million a year. Why would you give up prospects?
Yeah.
You know?
You're right.
Trout's is 37 through 2030.
So it's $75 million a year between two of them. Yeah.
That's why you give up a single A prospect, because you just are willing to take on the money.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Angels would do that. I just think it's an option. We'll see how the rookies of Neto, Chenul, Ohapi all click, and see who kind of emerges as other Angels prospects. Remember, like a couple years ago, they only drafted pitchers? This should be the year we should see some of those pitchers debut.
Yeah, but if Oakland is bad, but if Oakland was decent, Angels might be a last place team.
At least they won't be. At least they won't be. Maybe one day.
That's their
will be.
marketing ploy
Yeah.
for this year.
Not last.
That will draw some more fans.
If you're not last, you're fourth in
Yeah.
the AOS.
Yeah, 73 and 89, by the way.
Yeah, they'll be worse next year without
Yeah.
Ohtani.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
be worse. Thank you guys for watching. We are going to now transition to the National League and do the East, Central, and West of the offseason outlook and trade predictions. But thank you guys for watching. Again, look in the description below for all of our links. Please subscribe to us and like this video. Thank you very much.